So this session, we're going to be talking about how to use video and or audio. If you wanted to do a video welcome for your people, if you wanted to do weekly video check-ins with them. I've already said I think that's a good idea because we have to do this. 1/3 or more of all Indiana's independent colleges are not yet going online and don't think that they will because they're not prepared to, they said. And I was at a big meeting about this just on Friday. So all of them are in a place where they're really on the edge financially, some of them, on top of it, that they just can't transition even though they need to transition. Partly because they're profs, they just said it, look, we don't have infrastructure, we don't have technology, and the faculty we do have don't know technology, so we're dead. The problem is, that's why this kind of training is so important. That's why we did 17 or 18 or 19 sessions last term of training on different things, because you don't know when something insane is going to happen, and then the survival of the fittest kicks in to where those who, like sort of the 10 virgins, you know what I'm saying? It's like those who saved the oil kind of thing. It's like, well, they were ready, you know what I'm saying? And so it's one of those things where we're ready to transition, but now we want to go from surviving to it being, you know, a little more on the professional side. So we've already said that retention of students is important. It's not just enough to get through our classes. And I've also said this morning that we've said we're doing this for 4 weeks. I've already mentioned, be prepared. It's likely, it could very well be 8 weeks. I think the entire term will end up being online. So for all practical purposes, we're all now online profs, okay? So you can feel just like all everything else right now, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, so that means we have to, you know, we have to ramp up and do it. And the thing I mentioned when we started this morning was students, though, need us to be sort of understanding. And my advice is if we can be understanding and patient with them and give them a little bit of a break, because they've had to move their lives over the last 3 days too. So you might feel under the gun, they feel under the gun too. Like I say, their mom's treating them like a 16-year-old again in their own house, okay? So that's kind of what's going on. And my thinking is if you will be sensitive to them and not try to cram 17 weeks, 16 weeks of a semester into 3.5, 4, 5, 6 weeks of a session, you know, just I mean, you know, I would just say you got to make some arrangements like this. Give a little. And if you do that, they will probably give a little in their scrutiny of your skill or non-skill in teaching online. So I think it'll pay back. So what we're going to do in this session is I'm going to show you some techniques with what you can do with meat. Some of those were briefly mentioned this morning. I wanted to make sure that you actually knew. It's one thing to look at it and go, okay, yeah, sorry to say you could do that. It's another thing to do it yourself. So when you're alone, it's one thing to, you know, you're like, yeah, it sort of looks sort of bored. But then you go home and it's like 7:30 tonight. You're like, okay, I need to get this because we got class in 2 days. And you start doing it. You're like, I don't even know where that screen is. Where's that screen? Where is that? So let's just make sure as I do it, I'm coaching you through it. Be on your machine, trying to hit these things up. If you want clarification, ask me. And then at the end of all this, and I'm going to give several pieces, but at the end of this, if you're like, you know, I really need to say that again, then me and or Trent, if he gets here, will be able to come and say, okay, let's actually look at your machine. Let's do it to make sure you got this, okay? Comment?
Can we
actually see the screen, my screen? Maybe we should actually turn my screen on, is what we're saying here. So where is the thing? I thought I was on the whole time, right? So whatever. All right. So if you need to turn off this light to see it better, that's perfectly fine as well. So my intention is we'll start with Keep, I guess, or not Keep, but Meet. Google has so many tools, right? Google Meet, not Google Keep. Meet is meet.google.com. My best advice, I'm just going to give you some best practices. I really don't care other than just, I'm gonna give you a best practice. If you like it, do it. If you don't, I'm just afraid later, if you're new to these tools, you're gonna say, I can't remember what that tool was. I don't know how to get there. So my best advice would be to go to meet.google.com, star it so you can favorite the page, and then you know how you can add keywords so if you had a keyword, all you have to do is type that keyword into the subject line. You don't have to know any .coms. So like if I were doing that for meat, for example, meat, and I did that, I can click the bookmark here, as you know. Some of you know this already. You can do a tag and literally just put, you're like, I can't remember that. All I know is it's a Grace. And I got, or maybe you remember meat. And so once you do that, then even if you're on some other web page, all you do is come up here and just type in Grace, and as soon as you do, I probably have too many of these to do that with. So there it is, right there, it says meat. So automatically it knows because you use the keyword, okay? So if you don't use that technique, it's a nice technique to use. So we'll do meat, we'll do a little bit on Zoom. I'll show you a couple things with scheduling as we go. And if you want to see something on audio grading, we can do that, and any other question you might have. Okay, so let's go and get started. So to do Meet, everything on your computer probably is already there because you have to have a built-in microphone, and you need a built-in, video camera. If you have an external camera, obviously that's better because an internal camera is usually 1 megabyte. What do you call it? 1 megapixel. Sometimes they're 2. It's much better to have a higher end, but I wouldn't go out and spend $90 on one today. But I'm saying that if you got one, it's certainly better. Keep in mind that whatever you have, the highest you have, you should use, whether it's microphone or whether it's video camera, because that's what's projected to everybody else. You say, well, that's okay, I don't mind. Of course you don't mind, you're not the one looking at it. You know what I'm saying? But they are looking at it for 40 hours. So it's, again, we're just talking best practices here, right? And in time, we'll want to make sure that we deploy these to everyone. We'll want to have the best tools, right? The problem is sometimes I buy tools and then people don't necessarily use them. It's like, well, yeah, it took me 7 seconds more to plug it in. Well, okay, well, so I literally bought $300 microphones at my last school for every single professor, and sometimes they were too busy to plug in the $300 microphone. I'm like, well, never mind, you know what I'm saying? But you get the idea. So there's 2 ways you can do this, okay? If you go to Grace College, which calendar.google.com, and you're logged in, that brings you to your calendar. When you add, so this is something that Trim showed, I just want to recap quickly. If you go here and you add a new appointment, create, and you say, if you wanted to you want to meet your class, if you want to do something in real time is called synchronous. If you wanted something like this, or you wanted to have office hours, you said, I want them to be able to see me, I want them to talk to me, because we're doing something for our apprenticeship, we're doing something for fill in the blank. I just need to make myself available, and I don't want them to feel like they don't have office hours. A good way to do that is you could do something like this. I'll just show you the way I would do it. I'll go to more options, and I would say something like this. I want this to be, I would say, I may say custom, okay? I'll say I want office hours once a week. I want it on Mondays, and then I want to end it after 8 weeks because the semester will be over, okay? And then I'm going to do it, let's say, from 3:30 to, 4 o'clock. It doesn't matter the number. I'm just trying to show you the kind of. If your people are distributed widely, I would use the time zone feature. because they may be outside this time zone. We likely have people like that. And if you don't do that because like, well, I'm here, they know I'm at. Again, it's like, yeah, but it shows up on their calendar as their time zone because you didn't designate the time zone. See, so again, this is one of those best tips for teaching online because everyone's distributed and you have to think about those students. Otherwise, like, well, hey, it's your fault, it's your fault. Well, again, let's get your hand, right? So then, here's the key though for using Meet. You can click Add Conferencing and click Hangout Meet. Meet used to be just Google Hangouts. And now there's Google Meets, Hangout Meet. And they will probably get rid of Hangouts ultimately. It's just sort of like a middle version. It's another one of those almost great Google ideas that didn't really pan out. And now they're abandoning it and going to the next thing. So we'll see how it goes. Hangouts was a little bit clunky, as you may remember. But at any rate, hopefully Meets is actually not too, it's actually so simple that it may be too simple. We'll find out. But at any rate, you would go and tell it you want to do a video conferencing, and you would do that. Now you notice here, as I've done that, right there on the screen, it instantly gives me a URL that we're going to be able to connect at right here. So before I even finish scheduling, I already know what the link is going to be where these students can meet me. And you can copy that or jot that down and then share that with your people. Now, if you were doing what we're doing right now and you're scheduling it and you're going to add your students to this schedule, right, then they will have it already because it would already be on their calendar invite, okay? And so that's one way to do it. But best practice, if you're going to send things to your students regularly, you'll want to go into your contact list, create a new group contact, which I can show you later if you need that help. But basically, you can create a new group contact under the contacts, which is over here on this square. You would simply go down here to your contact list. It's somewhere in here. Does anyone see it? There it is. You go there, create a group contact, add all your students in this class, and just call it, Bible 250, whatever. And then you can then address it to them in one fell swoop, like that. Then they automatically have it. I won't go too far right now. The point is that this is now scheduled. Now, when I save this, it's now saved, and you'll see right here under Google Meet, if I did this, if I want to show the day view, it's right here, Meet Class for Lecture on the Patriarchs. It's now there, and at that time, when you're ready to do this, or when your students are ready to meet you, by the way, you can use this in your regular life. I use this kind of stuff frequently. Literally, all they do is they look at their calendar and click it. You're like, oh yeah, well, what if they're out and about? It doesn't matter because they just go to their smartphone, they go on their calendar, they click it there. So there's a Meet app, a Google Meet app on Play Store and on Apple App Store that they can get. And so it's super easy. It's pretty functional. So they can look at it whether it's laptop, desktop, pad, or mobile. No matter what the screen is, you're able to connect with them using this vehicle or other vehicles. I'll show you the others in a second. But if I click it here, just so you can see, what I would do is I can see here, I'm going to say meet.google. I'm going to copy this from here. I just want to show you something here. See, it gave me that reminder here at the bottom. I'm going to have a class. I'm going to copy, though, this link right there. I can also, as you can already guess, I could also be in a mail situation. I'll get you 1 second, Mark. A mail situation. I can go here to add this, compose a mail. Sorry, I've got a slow system. So here. And all you do is you can add this link to that. So whether he checks his mail and goes to that link, or whether he looks in his calendar and clicks that link, either way he does it, or his phone, all of them go right here. They allow for access once, probably, and then it takes them here to this place. So before I go on, I'm going to answer this question, and then I'll continue to show you what's happening. So.
That one link now is the same for all 8 occurrences?
It's let's look. Okay, let's look on that. So I'm going to go back to my calendar. So this one, the final tag on that, the last 3 letters are UBG. Since it's a repeating, usually it's not. Usually it's unique.
Yeah, that's
okay.
That's
the question here will be if we do it next week. Okay, we're looking at the next week's one now. UBG is on that one. So ZIWRUBG. So this one is here.
kind of critical to know.
Yeah, so it is a same link, which is a great thing. It would not be if you were doing, I'm almost certain it would be the same.
You notice they also they have it joined by phone.
Yeah, so that's a great feature. It's a call-in, so they can do that. And I think you can also do voice over IP. So that means if they had a Skype app or, with service on it that they could do it, call cell phones like that or landlines, they could use that, or they could dial in with a regular phone. So I'm using this to say that no student has any excuse because there's so many amazing opportunities for that. Now, of course, the only negative about phone is they don't get the advantage of your body language to be able to speak into you personally, So those are, if you want, like, again, why would this be? You would use this for 2 or 3 reasons. Scheduling. You want to schedule out ahead of time instead of just on the fly, which means you're going to either have class, like say, open office hours, online office hours, or you need to meet individually with students for interacting with them for some project or apprenticeship or to review their paper, or you just need to talk to them for something like that. So whether it's a one-on-one meeting or a class meeting, that's why you would use this feature. It's a good feature to use for that reason. Now, I want to close that out for now, and then I'm going to go over here to Meet. Let's now say that you're like, okay, got it. Now, what about Meet? When you go to Google Meet, it looks like this on the front. And you see here, what I did was I just created a calendar item. You saw that, right? So the calendar item is showing up on my Meet because it knows that I've got a meeting today. And what's great about that is it automatically will then include and embed the URL for that, so I don't have to go run around trying to find out what this is. Now, the beautiful thing is here, you may come here and you say, look, I've got a lot going on. I'm getting used to this now. I'm an online prof. I never saw it coming, but here I am. I have that meeting at 3:30, but you know what? I actually need to talk to someone else too, or I need to create a video for something. Well, so what happens is, because it has both these options, you don't have to select this one right here. You can select it. You don't have to select it. I can start another meeting just by clicking that right there, and it goes to another URL, okay? So that's the beauty of it. So you can enter a meeting code or nickname. Now, so here's the idea. You're like, okay, now under what circumstances would I do which? If I was not hosting the meeting, but I am hosting it, but if I wasn't, if I was attending a meeting, the student can either just put that URL that I gave you earlier, they can just put it online and hit it, and it'll bring them to this page. Or they can enter that code right into the URL there in order to join that meeting. If I did it right now, it would say, okay, you're the only one in the room, because no one's gotten there yet, because I'm the one hosting the meeting, so obviously no one's in there, right? So what happens is, if you have someone that's meeting you and you tell them to meet you in this room, but they get there before you do, it puts them in the so-called green room. So they're ready, they're poised, they're in the lobby, they're in the waiting room, and they will wait there until you get there, and then after you get set up and logged on, then it'll let them join you. What'll probably happen, if I'm not mistaken, because most of them are this way, is that you will admit them when you're ready. So, they've been waiting outside your office, just like in real life. You get there, okay, I'm now here. Well, just because I'm here doesn't mean I have to meet yet. I mean, I need 3 minutes to turn on the coffee machine, right? So you go in the room, and then when you're ready, you say, okay, now admit them. And then they come and they meet you. So you can do that. Now, let's say that you're not the student. The student would do this. You're not the student. You're the one holding the meeting, right? And it's not the 3:30 meeting that we just talked about because you've already started a new meeting. What you would do in this case is you would say, this is the name of calling it that. So I would then go ahead and say, okay, let's start that. So now it's going to start this new meeting. And as you see here, it's the Meet Freddie meeting. So then what happens is I will then choose, and you should do this, you can do it right there where you are. You will then choose what microphone you want to use. If you don't have an external microphone, there's only going to be one choice, okay? So it's easy, but you allow it. Then if you have one webcam, you allow that if you want to be audio and video. If you can do an audio-only web conference by not enabling your webcam right here. You're like, hey, I'm not taking a shower, I've not gotten my hair cut yet. You can do audio only. That sort of misses the point, right? But you could do it. It's fine. I mean, there's reasons you can do that if you need to. Maybe it's an unplanned meeting. You don't really, it's 1 in the morning, but you meet the student, but I just don't want you to see me right now. So maybe that's the way you do it. But the key is you do that. If you had multiple webcams, you would click that down arrow and it would allow you to select the one you want. Now, a couple quick things about this that it says camera failed. It probably means I have a camera open in something else. Oh, it does because I'm recording this for someone else. So let me go here to this software and tell it to disable. See if I can disable my camera. Sorry, 1 second. So I've got I've pushed another software, so it's opening that software up, and it's going to bog me down if I'm not careful here. So, 1 second. I want to tell it to get rid of the camera here. See if it'll let me get rid of the camera. Okay, it's not letting me get rid of it because I'm in a recording, and it doesn't want me to leave the recording to do this. Okay, so I won't be able to show you the camera right now because we're recording this with the camera. 2 or 3 quick, very important things on webcams. When your lid is like this, it almost points to the ceiling or like this. You're sort of looking like this. It's always this guy. You know this guy, right? Okay, yeah. It's like you can elevate the computer. There's an idea, right? It's a great thing to do. It takes a couple books. It's not really that hard. You just want a little bit of space at the top of your head. You got to remember, it's like they don't want to observe nasal hairs. They don't want to observe more chins than Chinatown. You know what I'm saying? It's like, just help the guy out, right? So do that. Another best practice, I'm part Chinese, so I can say that, right? Another best practice is that I see the biggest fail of all times is when you have a light source behind you. Listen, do these people a favor. I mean, they can't even see you. You look like some kind of silhouette. The light source is in front of you. Remember, they're trying to see you. So don't use a window. I was like, well, I just love this in my office. Yeah, well, that's great for when you're on your office, but now you're video conferencing, so you need to turn that thing around. You need light on your face so that they can see you instead of them seeing bright white light beside you and then a black figure like this, because you don't have any body language working. And it's sort of like the equivalent. If you meet someone and they're talking to you, but you've got super dark sunglasses, they can't see your eyes, they're like, this is weird. This sort of creeps me out. You know what I'm saying? So get the camera, get the lighting right, and then you join like this. You have 2 options, as you see here. Join now or present. So if you join, let me point something out here. This is a super great feature here. If you look at this little, see the 3 buttons here? If you click that and tell it to turn on captions, right there, it's a tremendous feature because when you do this, it will in real time type out what you're saying as long as you're not slurring. And it does a surprisingly great job. I mean, I'm genuinely impressed. I couldn't believe it when I saw it working. So that's good because of American Disabilities Act, not something that's done, not called that in Canada, Mark, but the ADA says that you should have captioning, generally speaking, especially when it's obviously when it's needed, but you can't have a student not getting it if they need it. Anyway, that's what that's for there. So you can do that. You can also go to other settings in here, and you see here you can test your settings and so on and so forth. So you have 2 options. You can join or you can present. If you present, I'm going to try, I guess I'll try to do both here. If you present, you can click present, and it's going to say, okay, you want to present something. What do you want to present? So this here gives you the option, and it says, what screen do you want to present? It doesn't want you to be in a situation where every, like your private email account is being seen by the students. So instead of some, they will let people share the screen. You follow what I'm saying? Generically. And so whatever's on your screen is on their screen. In this case, it says, no, we're going to force you to choose a screen you want to share. That way it's a little more professional, and it's not like, okay, whoa, it didn't mean, okay, that's my personal email there. So that way you choose that you want PowerPoint or whatever. So anything that you have here, you can tell it what you want. It'll show you a preview to make sure it's the right one. You say allow, and you say, hey everybody, I'm here. And then you are then showing them your screen. You can present your PowerPoint or whatever it is you want, just like normal. You teach, you speak. You can say, hey, let's look at your project here. You notice here you have this. They're seeing you. It's an amazing source of feedback to your students. It's fantastic. So you can do that. And you see up here, you're up here on the center of the screen, as you can see that. Now,
that's projecting both video and what's on the screen?
if someone joined me now, they could probably find out. Let's.
I did a meeting earlier today to go over the syllabus for my class, and on the MP4 it produced, it had my PowerPoint in large, and then it had a small video piece.
Okay, that's frequently what it is on most tools. What I would say is, and I'll see if I can do this if you're online over there, Matt. I'll try to send you a link.
Okay.
Just hopefully I can. Oh, you found it? Okay, so let's try that. Just go to Meet Freddie. Very good. Good point. Okay, so now, let's say, can you see me on the Meet Freddie? Can you see me?
I see your presentation.
Okay, you don't see me in that case.
No, I don't.
Okay, so if I go back to my Meet window, okay, let's don't get lost here, okay? Let's say I'm presenting what I just showed you, but now I'm like, okay, I'm finished presenting. I can go back to my Meet window in my browser, which is what you see here, and it says you're presenting to everyone. So it's still showing you that screen, right? Even though I'm now moving on. So I can tell it, let's stop presenting. Now I want to talk to my people, right? So I can do that. So I can say stop presenting. And it says I'm not presenting. So is it now coming back to my face here? It has my profile picture because remember I'm being recorded, so I can't use my video camera right now. So that's what would happen now is it would actually be showing. Also here, if you are on yours or you see mine, see over here where it says Meet Freddie? Right there on the left side, see here where it says Attachments? If I had set up this ahead of time on calendar, remember the calendar we did? If you put your lecture notes or the thing you want to talk to that person about, and you attach them on that calendar, I can show you. If you were on that item, okay, somehow that went away. If we were on that item and we attached it, like let's say right here, you go down here, see we're on the calendar item, add attachment. If you click that and then add something like so, and then save it, just this event. Okay, it now saved that. Now I'm already in the middle of this meeting, and I'm not sure if I'm in the right meeting, so we'll have to see. And I think, yeah, this is the Meet Freddie meeting, right?
Yep.
Now, watch what I'm going to do, okay? Let's say I've completed this meeting and I want to end it, okay? I want to take you to the one that has the attachment, okay? So I can end that call. Okay. So that's that. Now, when I go back to my main Meet page, see here, it still has that class meeting that I originally scheduled. See right there? So it says it's due now. I'm going to log into that meeting. It's going to do the same things, allow your webcam, allow this and that and the other. Okay. By the way, when I turned on captions a minute ago, was it doing it? It was doing it quite well, right? Yeah, it's surprisingly good, right? So if I join now this meeting, now check this out. See that Meet class for lecture on the patriarchs? Check this amazing thing out, right? You go over here to attachments. And that document that I had attached just a second ago is now in there. So you want to talk to someone about something, just upload that to your meeting. Just a tremendous tool. Well, if you open it up, I think you then have the opportunity to do it, okay? So like right there, I can now go back to this Google Meet. I can tell it I want to present now, okay, a window, and then I will tell it that I want to go to that particular Firefox. See here. So, okay, is that what you're saying? Okay, so you can go to that, right? So at any rate, I'm going to stop presenting here. Okay, I'm now going back to my meeting. There's a good example. If you hadn't seen it yet, it's doing a tremendous job of transcripting this talk. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. Now, let's see here. This here is a big piece. Now, okay, let me pause a second because I'm getting ready to transition into something still related to this, but everything you've seen right now, if you can do that, you can hold meetings, schedule meetings, share content, you know, it's pretty much, you'll figure most of it out. If you wanted to, now follow this, if you wanted to lecture and not just meet, you have two options. You can start keep, now, I mean, like I say, just, you almost gotta like just completely dump out your brain for a second, okay? Trent, you can sit up here with me if you like. I'd be happy if you sit up here with me and we can share the computer. I'm sort of recording as we're doing this, but
I just got done, I'm sorry.
no problem. If you, the first instance we just talked about is if you want to meet someone for office hours or for a scheduled meeting and you want documents or don't want documents and you do it through your calendar, great. What if you just want to do a video welcome? What if you just want to record something? We talked about there, you're not expected to record all your lectures and stuff, but what if you said, no, they need this content. I want to record a lecture. I want to record a talk. What you do is when you are in this presentation form, and this would be super great for you to look at it here because I want you to feel like you're comfortable with what we're doing. All you did is you went to Meet and you logged on and you started your session. That's all you've done. You're like, okay, I don't really know a lot about this. You don't have to know anything about it. It's just, there's so few things here. Look at the bottom right, those 3 buttons. This is key. You click those 3 and you tell it record meeting. You see change layout, full screen, turn off captions, thing. All these things, you've got these options. So you say, okay, I'm going to record this meeting. And then you record it. Because of FERPA, privacy rights, it says recording a meeting without the consent of all participants may be illegal and actionable. Obtain consent. You say, everyone understand that I'm recording this for academic purposes. If you're online with me, does anyone not consent? Okay, you don't consent, okay, go offline. Talk to you later. I'm doing this for everybody else. Okay? Instead, you can read 3,000 pages of this book. Bye. But then you say accept, and the cool thing.
They won't get a prompt like you just did, right?
I don't know that they get a prompt. I think that you do. I don't know that they do. But yeah, that's my understanding. And it would be on audio that they had said yes or not said. You know what I'm saying? So the student cannot record unless they have a screencasting software like we're using here, like a third-party additional software, in other words. Yeah. So now they would also need to get permission from you to do this, right?
Right. So the only way they have access to a recording of it is if we then subsequently post the recording somewhere for them to access.
Right. Right. So in this case, I am recording a lecture, or I'm recording a welcome. Hey everybody, we're so thrilled to have you in this class. You know, we all got surprised by this coronavirus just a little bit, right? But we're going to make the best of it. You're going to have a great time. I'm going to have a great time. I can't wait to spend the semester with you. Here's a few things you need to know. So you go through that. Basically then, when you're finished, and I'm going to go ahead and pretend I'm basically finished now. Trent, my understanding is we know that we can now go up here and click stop recording. If you decide to do the stop recording, then you get to clip it where you want without you fumbling around like this on video. You know how that goes, right? Or my understanding is if we just end the call, it will automatically wrap the video up and bundle it on your behalf. So there may be something where like, okay, I'm finished with this, but now I need to say a few things to my students. So you may choose to end it, even though, like I'm going to end it right now. I may choose to stop recording because I still want to talk to them. I just don't want to do it on recording. Or you may say, look, that's it, and I'm just going to hit stop record. I'm just going to end the call, no problem. So you do that, and then you basically sign off. The meeting's over. Then what happens is when you go to your Google Drive, now I just finished, so it's not going to be ready for some time. But what will happen is on my drive, when the time comes, it will bundle that video that you just took and deliver it in your own Google probably under recent is probably the best place to go, I guess.
Meets or something like that.
Meets.
And it's gonna be in what form, an MP4 or?
Yeah, it'll take a little while, it'll take a couple minutes for it to show up in there too, so if you don't see it right away, it's coming.
And if we wanted to embed that in Google, that to a label,
Yeah, you just, copy the link.
yeah.
Yeah.
Add an assignment, URL, you're on there.
Right, we are going to do that. We're going to show you how to do that right in 1 second, yeah.
Will look at the random access to that. Share it through Drive, or will they automatically?
Well, you're inviting them by giving them that link.
Yeah, yeah. The best practice is to put it in your LMS. That way they don't have 3 or 4 sources they got to manage, right? Just put it in your LMS. It's there. It's right where you want it. Pardon?
Moodle. It stands for Learning Management. Okay, so you're
Yeah.
saying you just copy it into Moodle. Okay.
Yeah, that's the best way because then they don't have to say, I know he shared it with me somewhere. I can't find it in my email, you know? Yeah, exactly. And it's also good to have your educational resources bundled together. You know, because just for pedagogy, it's just better to do that. So now what I'm going to do while I'm waiting for that to bundle, let's go ahead and go to, and anytime you want to add into it, you can. But, so I want to go to, let's say my, my classroom. So let's say here, my course. All you would do, and show you some of this before, I'm just trying to make sure that we have a workshop where you feel like you can stop me and interact with it. But you'll remember in your Moodle, you'll go to the right side and tell it you want to edit your course. Because you have to be in edit mode to add something. So you come to the side here and you essentially say, I want to add an activity or resource to your course. You could also go to an existing folder if you chose to. So you may, or you could even go to announcement. You say, I want to add a new announcement. That's fine too. Now, this is almost a little bit too detailed, but let me just ask it. Because you can add the message at the top of your Moodle to your students, like, hey, I want you to know this, you could technically type in a message to them and even paste that link in there. Yeah, and so that literally could be like, hey, get your class welcome link.
Highlight it.
So, and that is, where is that? I'm trying to think of where that is there. On the, where do you put a message on the top of the?
Go to the very top.
Okay. Edit.
Edit the section. Description right there.
Okay. Under,
Right here, and then if you want to put that URL, you do it.
So, now let's see if that ever got that in there yet in this, I've got so many things going on my computer, it may not have that meat in there yet, right? Let's see here. Yeah, that meat is still not there because I'm doing so many things on this. I'm sure it's going to take a little bit of time. Let's hypothetically, okay, let's just say that I wanted to use this. Let's say this was the meat. In other words, I'm not going to use the same file because it's not ready yet. But you're like, okay, but how do you do it? Let's pretend that this audio file is the meat file. All you do is you go to the file in question on your Google Drive. You tell it you want a shareable link. You don't just tell it share to somebody, because you're not really trying to share it to somebody. You're trying to share it to everybody. So you're going to go to shareable link. But before you do that, instead of just turning sharing on, I like to go to set settings first. Now, if you're overwhelmed, all you got to do is literally click the same thing you're seeing me click, you click. Because it's really easy. What are the sharing settings first? Because here's the point. If you tell it, if you say, okay, I'm not going to do it in that order because he's just trying to make this. No. If you copy the sharing link prior to changing the settings, when you change the settings, the link changes because it's different settings and it won't work. So you've got to do it the right way. So we're going to change this. I'm going to go down to the bottom, advanced. What I want is, I want specific people can access it. I want anyone with the link can view. See yours right here? Anyone with a link can view. If you say public on the web, that may be a little bit too personal. Maybe that's it. You don't want the whole world to have it. Now you could say, I just want Grace College. Now this is a little bit tricky because it's using shorthand. It says anyone at Grace College can find and access. It doesn't really mean that. What it really means is if you are logged into your Grace email account, you can access. It doesn't mean that it indiscriminately knows every single student and whatever email they happen to use in the world, right? You know, like, you know, Batman 2017 at Hotmail. I mean, it doesn't know that's your student. So it means that if you have a Grace EDU, it'll know. So that's why I just say, you know what, look, I'm just going to say anyone that has the link, because only the people that I send it to should have the link. So I tell anyone with the link can view. Now check this out. If you start doing other things like edit and stuff like this, if you're not careful, people can just come here and delete your stuff. Or they can, or let's say you have a document, like, well, I want this document to be used. Well, if you have it edit that document, they say, oh, great, he gave me a template. I'm really glad he gave me a template for this project. Well, guess what? You don't have a template anymore because they just edited your template and now it's their project. So you have to make it a viewable, not an editable, unless you want it to be an edit document. You click save. That's when you can now go get that link. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to copy that link there. Now, here's what I always do. It's a real best practice. This is the only time this screen appears. At the very end, you've got the link. Look at this. Prevent editors from changing access and adding new people. In other words, if you have someone else that you shared that with, they can say, you know what, I think Mark would like this. Well, maybe Mark would like that, but maybe I don't want Mark to have that, right? Or disable options to download, print, and copy. See, so in other words, if you want to lock this resource down where people can't mess with it, you're like, look, I'm giving you access, but I'm not giving the whole world access. So often I will click these in order to retain my rights so someone else cannot misuse the content that I'm getting ready to share. Is this making sense?
So basically what this does is make it so the students have to click on the link, go to their Google Drive or their Google Share, whatever it is, and see it there, and that's it.
Yeah, or their learning management system, their Moodle, right? So they can access it with that URL, however they want to get to it. They can use that URL to get it. But what it doesn't do is, it doesn't ever compromise the integrity of your original piece. They can't delete it, they can't move it, they can't share it, they can't download, whatever it is whatever I don't want them to do, they can't do. Okay, so I'm going to then save that. Again, I'm going to go ahead and get that link again. Then I'm going to go into my LMS, and I'm just going to say, hey, click to check out my class welcome. I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to add this link, create link. Now note, if you wanted to, you could do that. You could tell it to open in a new window. Okay, so that's a feature that you're like, look, I don't want them to go out of the side, or I don't want them to go away. I want them to come right back to where we are. You may say, okay, open in a new window if you want. It's just whatever you want, unless you want the same tab. Click the link. Once you're done, you say save changes. Okay. So save changes. I can then turn my editing off. And see right here at the very top. Hi everyone. Click to check out my class welcome. They click it. Now the problem is this is an audio file, you see. So it's not going to go to the video because I didn't put the video. That's going to audio. But there they go. That way they can see the video file. Okay. So you can imagine now. Actually, what's really
Depending on what browser they're in at this point, or they have their laptop configured, the application or the program that will run the video content could be anything.
yeah, it's depending on their default program, and it depends on in Google, because Google is holding it at that point. Google may have a thing or two to say about it at first. In other words,
Yeah.
they may have to say, hey, I want to download it, and then they'll get the option. In other words, like, if Google has an embedded tool that lets them do it right there, it will default to Google's tool unless they tell it they want to use
Or
another.
might encourage them to use that, but they'll have the option to go with whatever.
You will, depending on how you handle it. Like where I just showed you, you see, so far it's not, it just makes it to where you can play it, or I can do this download,
You know, all your-
and then it has other things, or if I want to use my third-party one, I would have to download it, and then it would give me the option of how to open it, so. Okay, now, I don't want to get too bogged down for you here, but as you can see, if you're using the Meet tool, the short version of it is this. You log on. All you want to do is make a video, to do it, just to show you real quick. You log on, you enable, I want to show you the 45-second version. Yes, yes. You're joining now, you're doing it for yourself. You click more options, you record meeting, you accept it because you're doing it for yourself, you start the video recording. Can we all agree that in under 10 seconds, I just started recording a video? So there's none of this, well, this is a big learning curve. It's 10 seconds. So we can all communicate all the time with our students. Then I tell it I'm finished, I stop it, then it bundles it sooner or later. Like I say, I'm still waiting on the other one because I've been, I don't know if
I think it was there. It was there.
it was?
Yeah.
Should also send you an email.
Okay.
Right there, so I can-
Ah, there you go. Nice, very good. So Meet class for lecture on patriarchs. Fantastic. Here we go, let's see. It's only 3 meg, that's not bad. So cool. So as you can see there, that's what we do there. We just right click that and get that shareable link. There you go, right?
We weren't thinking lecture these videos. Should we be shooting for a certain time, the size of the file? Because my class is technically my class is supposed to be a night class. It's supposed to be 3 hours. I imagine that's not going to play well with Google or being uploaded or getting.
Yeah. Well, Trent and I, it's a great question. Trent and I talk about this a lot. When we talk about best practices, what could happen is my experience is people get automatically overwhelmed. They say, oh man, do short vignettes. Is like, first of all, if the shorter the vignette, the smaller the file size. The smaller the file size, the more easily your system and their system manages it. You likely have a pretty high-end machine. Some of your students don't have a high-end machine. The larger the file size or the more crummy their internet connection, then the harder it's going to be for them to process a 3-hour, 180-minute video that you did. I mean, that's longer than Out of Africa, for crying out loud. You know, I mean, this is like Lord of the Rings, only without the talent. You know what I'm saying? So I know, right? So the thing is that what I would say is this: instead of looking at like, oh, that sounds like a lot of work. A lot of us do a lot of this kind of stuff. Actually, it's easier. Now, you could say, well, it's easier just to hit the button once, and well, I get that, but if you just imagine why 10 seconds to start it, you hit record, and you just tell yourself in your mind, in 10 minutes, in 7 minutes, I'm gonna review the primary 6 Christological heresies. I'm just gonna give a quick overview. Here they are, boom, 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 boom. Thanks a lot. And you end it, you bundle it, then you can just literally go right back 10 seconds, record another one. When you do that, what happens is, if you do those short vignettes, what happens now is I just dump that first one onto my thing. I go into my class core here, and I add a new learning piece to this class at the bottom, and and I may add a new activity, put that in there, and say, view this video, and I paste the video in there. And then I say, here's a forum, have a discussion on, which heresy are you most likely to commit? You know what I'm saying? Or whatever in your current theological formulations. And so then you can maybe break the class into Docetists and, Manichaean, yeah, exactly, and others. But the thing is, you can imagine, then you can put the next one in there. So if you think about it, it's a lot easier in your mind just to say, I'm going to do hammer out a quick little short video on some little piece, because it's easy to process that in your mind. You don't have to remember that much. You hammer it out. It looks very good. It's short. Then you do your learning exercise. Then you put another one in there, and that becomes so video heavy. It becomes a lot more interactive, and the learner is a lot more connected. Most of us don't go to. We might watch a full feature film. You know that what you just did, that 180-hour lecture, 180-minute lecture. You know that's not a full feature film. Okay, you know that. But they could probably handle 3 minutes. Listen, if Piper's more than 3 minutes, I'm not listening, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, maybe 2 minutes. I don't know. But the thing is that short vignettes are good. Trent, you have anything to that as far as best practices, though?
Yeah, you still recording it? I don't know if you want to record.
I know, right? I know. Does everyone understand here? I'm sort
I
of.
tuned out like 15 minutes ago because you like.
That's right.
What do you say? I wasn't listening. So it's good. So,
Yeah, for the online delivery, exactly.
you want to come over here so they can hear it on this audio here? And I'm just going to show you a couple more things of this, and then we'll allow you. But I just want this is being recorded for someone, so I'll get
Your online delivery format is really a lot better for attention span. We try not on the online space to have a student have to log in and watch an hour to 2 hour video. Especially right now, we're not sure what all these students are going through. We're going through turmoil, so are they. They're getting home, they're living in their mom's basement again, they're trying to figure out what life looks like. They may not have high-speed internet like we do here. Think about when you watch Netflix or Hulu or something and you get a bad connection and you're sitting there watching and all of a sudden it freezes. Think about if all the content you give them is an hour to 2 hour video and it's constantly freezing, they're going to be a frustrated student. So as much as you can put in some type of a PowerPoint, discussion forums, and some other formats like that where it's just not audio taped lecture, the better for them right now. So I guess one thing to think about is certainly as instructors, I'm like you, I love to teach, I love to preach, I love this audience in front of me, but kind of put yourself right now in the mind frame of the student. They're going through a lot too. How best can we give our content to those students right now?
Yeah, and if you can clip this into reasonable modules like that, for all purposes, I mean, I'm not saying it's the quality we would want long term, but for all purposes, you will have just essentially built an online class.
Absolutely.
And you can imagine, there's always that time when you start to feel a little hoarse, you got a scratchiness in your throat, you're like, I can't make it. John, you heard a while back, you had to be at something, and we did a Zoom piece, right? You had to be there. You did it, boom, boom, it was done. It worked like a charm. And, you went on with your business, your students were happy, kind of thing. And so that's great because, who knew that something like, if I were to be training people one day here and say, look, you never know when your average pandemic's going to hit, and you'll need to know this stuff. Well, guess what? It did. And we had no time to transition. But by the grace of God, we had tools in place, a lot of people that know a lot of stuff. And here we are. Can you imagine 3 or 4 days later, we're literally ready to transition into like a full online school? It's nuts, right? But it's a testament to the fact that we've done some prep. But this kind of thing is going to help us even more. So I'm prepared to show you a very quick thing on audio. I haven't gone to Zoom. Zoom is very similar, but let me ask before I go on, up to this point, any questions? And then I'll ask the question, are there people that say, yeah, let's take a look at that Zoom again, because maybe there are people that say they want it, or you might say, look, man, that thing's so simple, I think I'll stick with what we just did. So questions up to this point, and then let's, about getting things on your portal of your Moodle, to how to link things, to everything we've done so far.
Is Meet free for everybody? I mean, it's not
Yes.
a suite or anything. I can just.
Well, it's in
any
our,
of my
yeah,
Google accounts, I can use Meet, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, in an enterprise account, so if you're in your personal Google, I don't think it has it. It's only if you have an enterprise account, which you do through Grace.
That was my question.
Yeah, if you have a free personal account, you have to have an actual hosted Google account.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
so I mean, now I have one on the side, so I have it through that, but I don't have it through my regular Gmail.
Because I was looking for it to try to get it on for my personal, and I couldn't do it.
No, it has to be enabled through your organization enterprise, so. Other
All our
questions?
students automatically have access to it because they have a grace.edu email.
Yeah, the good news for them is that, my understanding is they can view it indiscriminately with the link. So my belief is that whether they're logged in as a Grace student or not, they can get it with the exception. So in other words, if something's linked, they in theory could tune in to your video on Meet, except if you've saved it. And if your link sharing has only allowed certain ones, like only with a Grace account, then they have to be logged in. If they're just joining you in a live event and they have the link, they should be able to connect to you directly.
So only the host has to have that enterprise account. In theory, anybody could be invited.
If it's a live event.
Yeah.
If it's a posted event, then if you said only Grace people can connect because it's proprietary, then even then they couldn't unless they're logged in with their own Grace account. So the best practice is for them to be logged in as a Grace student,
So we
frankly.
might need to just reiterate that with students. This is the key to accessing everything.
Under all circumstances, it will always work.
Accessing things with your grace.edu.
Yeah, because they can't get into their LMS, their Moodle without that anyway. So it's best for them just to avoid because you know, like sometimes because it all looks the same, you think you're logged on to your school account, but you're not. And it's just best to say, look, always log in to your school account. That way there's never a question with that kind of thing. Other question?
Yeah, you may want to hit you. What I heard between the lines is that you think there's a better than 50-50 chance that we're going to finish this semester up this way.
That is Freddie Cardoza talking. That is whoever the person is leading the seminar. I mean, that is not anything official. I have heard no person from our school say that. I'm saying that when I spoke to several of the people in the Indiana independent colleges and universities, almost to a person, they were saying, they just looked at each other and shook their heads and said, this ain't 4 weeks. This is, they say, most of them assume it's going to be a semester-long thing. I don't know. My assumption is that it's probably likely. I've not heard one person from our university say that.
I would prepare as if it's going to go fully weeks.
The governor shut the restaurant.
Yeah, I got one last Arby's in before it shut down. I was going to Pizza Hut, but they'd already closed Pizza Hut.
Carry out, that's what it's going to be.
I know, it's going to be DoorDash from here on out, right?
Wow.
Let's check on this, names in Google Meet. Let's make sure.
All right, you got your classes, right? You're thinking, how do I get all of my class into Google Meet? I'm just gonna have to go in there and just copy and paste every single one. Don Fluke has put a tool, it's on Portal, it's called Davidson College Export Email.
Okay, let's go there.
It's gonna be a tool that you can export your class roster right into Google Meet.
So that is in, that's
It's in
under,
your portal underneath faculty.
so that'd be, portal.grace.edu. I just want to show them, so we're, okay? Under faculty,
Plug in, yep,
oh, whoops.
so over on top, go to faculty.
Okay, faculty, if you're viewing that on top. There, Davidson College, export email addresses,
Yep.
okay?
So it's a tutorial how to put your class roster into Google Meet so you don't have to type each individual address.
Now,
Where did you get that? I'm sorry.
yep, you go into portal,
All right there. It's where the
right here at the bottom, right there. Now, can we all assume that lots of us may want to do that, right? Why don't we go ahead and try it once? Okay?
You can do this right on the portal already. You go down, just go down to your classes on that faculty page. And right there where your class listed, is
Right here?
go directly to, there's a description.
Down here?
Select area,
Can
class
you email
list,
them all with the link?
class list, and then right there, right at the top of the list, there's a little button that says export to Excel.
You can, and an easy way to do that is to do it right in Moodle, the messaging. You go to your roster, go to the bottom, yes, correct.
Okay, so let's make sure that we all have this. Explain to me what you just said, and then I'll make sure that I want to see this, okay?
Scroll down one page.
I'm scrolling down.
Then you get your classes, click the class you want there.
Okay.
Go right to the select area.
Okay, so I'm gonna select,
No, just right there, select area, click.
okay,
Now, class list.
class list.
Now, at the top of the class list, you don't have a class list.
Okay. I'm not really a teacher this one, I'm
Yeah,
just
at
viewing
the
it.
top of the class list, all the list at the very top, there's a little button that says export to Excel. Click on it.
Okay,
Now,
okay, I may check on another one real quick here. Okay. Export to Excel, there it is. See right here?
Email address.
See right here, export to Excel. Okay, so then after we do that,
pretty sure that addresses.
You'll get a column.
okay, so then basically you're saying that you would just copy those, and then how we dump those into the, let's say we're gonna now dump those into the meat.
You go into,
Oh, okay. So in other words, what? Yeah, so we would go into our meat class for lecture, we just talked about, and tell it to add guest there. That's a good thing.
Format it correctly, you copy the column.
Yeah, well, let's see, it's, there's no comma at CSV there.
okay, I have done it before with mass emails and it's worked. Every once in a while, it'll flag something in red. If it does, just go ahead and delete that.
Okay, it did work, yeah, I just clicked enter and it did take them, yeah, just like that. That is a powerful little tool. Usually that CSV file like that, a lot of times, you have little issues with that, right? Now, so that is a very good tip right there. So to repeat, all you did was you went into your class portal at grace.edu. You went to faculty page, you went down to the very bottom, your class listing, you told it you pulled the little pull down menu, you told it list class students, it did. You opened the Excel file, you cut or copied, I should say, the student email addresses, then you went into your calendar and just added them to the invite. Now, that only works if you're inviting them to a live event, okay? But, just a piece of information, what you could do, remember here where we had the video right here, Meet the Classical Patriarchs? You could record your lecture, get that shareable link. I'm going to shortcut and just do it like this because I'm not really doing it for real. Get that shareable link. I could actually go back in here and I could say, instead of meet class, I could do this. View lecture on the patriarchs. I could get rid of the Hangouts meet. And I could say, right? Then I can invite those students, save it, this event, send that to him. Now, when he goes and checks his email, this is your student's view now. Sorry about that. Slowly gonna get there. Maybe drew Windows P. Windows P. Hit the P button. Doing it too quick for this guy here, right? There you go. Yeah. Duplicate. Okay. You may have just pressed out, but let's see here. Okay, let's see that. We'll see here in a second that it comes back. There we go. So now if he goes into his email, his calendar. It's right there. To this lecture, view the lecture here. See it right there, everybody. So in other words, now follow what just happened, okay? You can put a link to the Meet, but if you're like, yeah, but I'm not really meaning it. I want to record a lecture. I want them to watch it. You can set up using that tool we just showed you of how to invite everyone at once so you don't have to mess with it forever. And you could literally say, repeat this every week. That way, every week on Thursday, you're going to provide them, or Monday, you're going to provide them your lecture. And you just put week 1, link, just like this, week 2, link. And that way, it's on their calendar. All I do is go to their calendar, and it pops up, and they can then watch the recorded video. Never mind the video, the live video. You can do it this way. That way, it automatically delivers that way. Or you can, obviously, as we've already said, you can link it into your Moodle. And if you click that there to see what it says here, view the lecture here, as soon as they do that, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. It's pretty powerful. So, now, yes.
That would be more functional, what I'm thinking of. Every time, I don't want to have to go into the Excel sheet, copy and paste it. I want to be able to type in Greek exegesis.
Yeah.
Boom, there's my call students.
Yeah. So what you'll do is you'll go to create a group. You'll simply go into your little 9-dot triangle, click contacts. Oh, sorry. That's good. This will only take 20 minutes. John, do you have enough information to move forward in what you're? I didn't get to the simulation. Okay. So what you would do is you would go here to your contacts. You would say create contact. I want to create a group though. Let me see here. There you go. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I think you have to. Okay. So let's see if it's down here. Okay, wait, let me see here, because what it is you have to, okay, okay. Yeah, here we go. I'll make it simple for those that you're like, okay, I need to create a class list. You go, the first thing you do is you go to the bottom of this long list. Tell it you want to create a label, That label is EM7000. You want to put the right, you know. In fact, what I usually do, frankly, is I usually put 2020 spring, because that way it alphabetizes. That way you know what term you're looking at automatically. You say save. So now it has that listed. It's right there. So I can click that. It says no contacts with this label. See right there on the left? I told it to find it for me. It says, well, there's no contact with this label. Label contacts then. Go to your contact list, select contacts the label in the toolbar, choose manage labels icon. So what I'll do is I'll go here to contacts, and I will go down and click the ones I want. Freddie Cardoza, my wife, Sports Clip Laura, okay, whoever, you know, Apple, oops, okay. Then after I get that, if I'm not mistaken, I just go down here and let's see here. Let me make sure I got this right. I don't want to mess. Okay, yeah. I'm wondering whether I do manage labels. I don't want to mess up what I just did. Is it manage labels, or I go to? It's probably manage labels. So manage labels. Yeah, here it is. And then I tell it I want this to be my 2020 class. Apply. So what it did there was it just put 8 of those people into that list, or 4 people, however I had. Okay.
Right, when you have a big, pretty regular, like you have a big list, like you have a whole range of media in there, you can search for a particular name, pull up that contact.
Yes.
You hit the 3 dots and that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So, and then what happens now is, once you've done that, because now that that's done, I know that was sort of quick, okay? But it's got that label in there. Now, when I want to go back, let's say, to my mail, so what you can do is you can hit plus, compose, if it ever gets here. And then I just go 2020. So there, type it in there, and it puts the people that actually got in there. It looks like there's a couple I thought I put in there that missed. But that's how it does it. It automatically populates that with that thing. Or I can go here, and I think it'll do the same thing in my calendar, because like 20, there you go. Okay, sure. Yeah, it just depends if it's, sometimes if you're doing things so repetitively, it may be that it's worthwhile to do the other.
I mean, if I had the link that I created, I could just throw it in an email.
That's true.
So, we have a glitch for one.
Has anyone had a problem when opening your camera, Microsoft or Windows 10? We have had some instructors today where their camera would not function with 10. So in the training course, all of you have been put into a quick training Google course. Go to your dashboard, go to current courses. You 5, 6 easy things to crash course Moodle. So if you do have a problem with your camera working with,
You're talking over here, right? Teach with
go to
Moodle,
your dashboard,
dashboard.
or yeah, teach with Moodle, either both places. Every teacher who's teaching the course of this session, you've been added in there. So you can use as much or as little if you want to. It's just, you know, key items for Moodle. In there at the top, you'll see that there's a little link. So we did put the instructions in there if you are having problems with your camera.
That would be, how to fix the camera problems,
Yep.
yeah?
Yep. So hopefully it's not happening to you, but if it does, it'll walk you through that problem.
Okay. Zoom is an option. I've done a training session on Zoom before. Is there anyone that specifically needs Zoom or has a specific Zoom question? Okay.
Trent, can you show, I've already got a video made in Zoom, how to upload it to Moodle, show, Moodle, Zoom video.
Well, there's some ways to do that. You can go to Vimeo, you can go to YouTube, you can even upload it to Google Drive. Because what you're going to do is once your Zoom session is ended, it's going to save to your hard drive, Rock.
Right.
So from there, I would recommend just upload it to Google Drive. Once it's there, grab the URL, copy it to Moodle. That way you can bypass Vimeo and YouTube.
Yeah, I like that.
A best practice, if you can do it, and I strongly urge you to, remember that your students have to deal with your presentation. You're not really dealing with theirs. So you may say, oh man, this is sort of frustrating because my connection seems weak. Well, it's going to be 10 times frustrating to everybody else. So the best thing to do, you notice here, hardwire if you can do it. If you say, well, I don't have a hardwire. If you have a modem at home and a Wi-Fi, you have a hardwire. All you have to do is buy a $6 Cat 6 cord, right? The thing is, it's always best to do it because the connection is so much more stable. You see here, we brought this cord in here just for this purpose because it's the best practice. You don't want to be struggling through my lousy presentation, you know? So there's ebbs and flows on networks, as you know, and it just, you know, it's like, why do that to yourself? Why do that to anyone else? Get your lighting right, get your camera right, get your audio right, get your connection right. If you're unsure, you can always go to speedtest.net to see what your speed is. Most of the time, your download speed is okay for regular stuff, but when you start doing a lot of heavy video, it may not be that kind of experience, you know, so.
And on that note, Zoom nationwide, we're not sure what their load's going to be able to handle.
That's true.
This is going to be interesting.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Does anyone need any, just the last thing I think I had on my list was whether anyone needed any information about how to do, it's super simple, but how to do any kind of audio feedback for their students. Does anyone need that for grading and such? Okay. Any remaining questions, or do you need someone to come to your desk right now and do a tutorial? We want you to feel a high level of confidence about what's actually happening. So you need to be able to feel confident that you can go and replicate this at 10:32 tonight, you know, and I just want you to make sure that you feel good about that. We will come right now to help.
Yeah, maybe this is a question I prefer to use Zoom. I think this is a bit of a higher quality. But they have that 40-minute time limit.
They used to,
Free now for educators. But everything that's going on right
for
now,
this semester.
they're offering it free to educators right now.
And I saw that, but it says specifically the website for K-12.
Right.
Not education.
I'm under the impression, now we have to check, but I'm under the impression that was a misnomer. Because,
I haven't heard if they've expanded.
okay, that's going to be important to find out.
That is.
Because I was under the impression
I was
that they were sort of using shorthand. Let's see here.
Stop. What we're gonna be doing from this short minutes. Looks great.
Okay, so, let's see here, let me just.
I agree with you, I've lectured live, we're using Zoom. Classes, not giving breaks. I like Zoom a lot better too. It's just bringing out what KDC is best, to make it look like that.
Feature where if you have a class that's meeting all at one time, and I'd like to provide that option for my students, where you can break them up into groups and they can have a conversation with Google Meet. Then it works pretty well.
Yep, yep, really well, I like that too.
Let me see here, I wonder if Zoom,
Yeah,
If I wanna make 1,000 10-minute videos,
there's no limit.
yeah,
Say you're lecturing for 4 hours, okay, just plan your breaks after every 40 minutes.
right, yeah.
And Freddie, there's no so my class is a night class, 3 hours most of the time. I don't have to meet at 6 to 9 anymore, right? I can meet at 1 o'clock 3 times a week and get my hours that way. Yeah.
yeah,
How many students do you have?
46.
So say if you have a small class, you could poll them what works best for them, and now we're 46.
yeah, I would,
I'm gonna do both.
I would definitely encourage you to be consistent though with what you do, and I was talking about, one of the things I talk about here is I said, if you go online and you have, on your calendar, using the Meet or something like it is a great way to have online office hours, because when you have that many, you know, you can either answer 25 emails a week and it feel like a real nuisance, or you can just open up your office and say, look, that's when office hours are, dial in at any time, you know, and that way it's a lot easier to take, you know, and I would just say, look, I'm not answering questions until after, you know, in other words, that's the time we have it available. And then if you miss it then I'll field additional questions. That way they can just bundle them. I mean, you got to figure out the thing, especially if you have a big class. Maybe you have time to do all that stuff. I don't know. But I'm just saying, you got to make it manageable. And I would much rather have office hours online and just be there available for people than have to answer all those crazy emails. You know, so. And it's easy, all you have to do is put it on your calendar.
This is on a different direction, but we're still on this.
Thanks, Rob.